Hi, my name is Prana and I'm here to tell you a story of entangled roots of two large medicine bodies in Asia, Chinese medicine and Ayurveda. These roots are not only entangled but in some cases very deeply connected and interconnected. This is a series of presentation I'm planning to do, and this is the first one in that series. And in every presentation I'll present one philosophical root and one historical root and show you how they are interconnected or entangled to raise the awareness or even to raise an inquiry. These series of presentations are targeted to students of Ayurveda and Chinese medicine or practitioners of Chinese medicine and Ayurveda who are curious about how these two medicine can be integrated or how they have been integrated in past and used by various physicians across South Asia. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name, as I said, is Prana. I am a licensed acupuncturist and herbalist in California. I practice Chinese medicine. I also have studied craniosacral work with Hugh Mill, and I practice craniosacral work as well, which is part of osteopathy. I have studied Ayurveda with Dr. Lad and also with wandering Medican men whom we call Siddha for 30 years in India. My foundation of medicine is from Siddha tradition, and Siddha, as I said, are wandering Medicans and yogis who have studied and teach from oral tradition. And that's how I learn Ayurveda, as a part of an oral tradition. Two roots which I'll talk today. One historical root is about Jibo or Jivaka Kumar Bacha or Jivaka Kumar Bhratya. And the second is philosophical root is Triguna or Yin-yang, and I'll show you how these two both are entangled and interrelated. Let's talk first about Ayurveda. The word Ayurveda is actually combination or conjunction of two words, Ayush, which means longevity, and Ved, which means science or knowledge. So Ayurveda literally means longevity science or science of longevity. Ayurveda is a full medicine. It has 8 branches. There are not many medicines on planet that have actually 8 branches. Internal medicine, pediatrics, surgery, ENT, and psychiatry. These 5, and to some extent toxicology, or 6 branches are almost found in all medicines that are called world medicine. But Ayurveda also includes rasayana, which can be translated as prevention of disease, and regeneration. Because if you're going to focus on longevity, you need to prevent disease from happening. Because in Ayurveda we say if you have a disease and you go to see a doctor, it's like a thirsty person digging up a well and looking for water. It's too late. And aphrodisiac and health of progeny, or improving the health of progeny, is called Vajikaran, and Ayurveda has it for a long time. And Ayurveda, as per the history, is almost 5,000 years old. There are many branches of Ayurveda, and in Western world, few known names are Maharishi Ayurveda, Chopra Ayurveda, Siddha medicine, Kerala Ayurveda. But no matter which branch or which brand of Ayurveda you go through, they all are rooted in 3 great texts. The texts of Charak, which is Charaka, Sushrut, and Vagbhat. Sushrut is the oldest known surgeon on the planet. If you look up the history of surgery on planet, documented history of surgery, Sushrut name will come as the oldest surgeon, and he was an Ayurvedic medicine man or Ayurvedic practitioner. Charak is considered as a father of medicine or Ayurvedic medicine, and he describes Ayurveda as a science of longevity. He says it describes the conditions that are appropriate and inappropriate, auspicious and inauspicious for longevity, or conditions that are happy and sorrowful of living. And it's a measure of life. So Ayurveda is a science that is focused on longevity. It doesn't focus on disease at all. It doesn't define on disease. Disease is rather more of something that goes away if you focus on longevity and conditions of living If you live healthy, Ayurveda says, then you can actually live without disease. That's the simplest way to define definition of Ayurveda. But one person in the history that stands out other than these three is Jivak Kumar Bharatya. He lived around 500 BC, around same time probably as Sushruta, and he was alive when Buddha was there. He actually treated Buddha. His name in Sanskrit pronounced as Jivak Kumar Bharatya. In English we pronounce it as Jivaka Kumara Bharatya, but in Pali, which is the language of South Asia used in Sri Lanka and Thailand, as Kumarabacha, Jivaka Kumarabacha. He lived nearly 200 years before Hippocrates, and he performed major surgeries like laparotomy and craniotomy. He treated Buddha, he treated kings at that time, King Bimbisara, who ruled India, Ajatashatru and Ujjain, which was in the East India. And these kings awarded him an honor of King of Physicians. His story is documented in 4 different versions in 4 different cultures of South Asia. In Pali, it is documented in Sri Lanka and Thailand. In Sanskrit, it is documented in India. In Chinese, it is documented in Chinese version, and in Tibet, in Tibetan version. So he's a legend across 4 different cultures across the history, and I'll show you he's one of the biggest entangled roots in Chinese medicine, in Thai medicine, and also in Ayurveda. Pierce Saliguru, who is a professor in Penn State University of Asian Studies and Religious Studies, his article on Buddhist Medicine King, which is all on Jivaka, he says he in Chinese history is known as Yao Shi, along with title of medicine man and Tongzi, a prince. He in Sui text is described as Da Yi, which is a great physician and the world doctor. So Chinese have given this legend of Jivaka as many names, including as Jibo, who goes in Huangdi Neijing as the dialogue between Jibo and the Yellow Emperor. And Jivaka is also in pronounced in Chinese as Chi Yu, Jibo, and he has a book that is translated in Chinese called Jivaka Sutra. Jiva, which is the root word as Ji, means actually life force. So the Qi, which we call Chinese as life force, in Sanskrit will be Ji. Jiv means life force, and Jiva means the one being who has the life force. So living being in Sanskrit is called Jiva, and his name Jivaka is more or less related to a life force or living being, and it's a first name, and it's a common first name in northern India as well. So the Ji, which is Qi in Chinese, is same as Jiv in Sanskrit. Sun Simiao, Tang Dynasty physician, he attributed many of his prescriptions to Jipo, which is Jivaka. He actually records in his text prescriptions by Jibo or Jivaka. In Danhuang text, Danhuang caves actually found a manuscript named Chi Pu Shu, which means the Jivaka Pustaka, which means the book of Jivaka, and it is translated. It has both versions in Danhuang, the Sanskrit and the old version of Sanskrit, Brahmi, and it's translated into Chinese as well. Sui Shu, which is the book of Sui dynasty around 600 CE, describes 10 medical books of India, out of which 2 volumes are prescription of immortal described by Jivaka, and one full text on recipes or Fuling San, which is one of the medicine that is used, herbal medicine used in Chinese medicine. And Jivaka wrote a 1 volume on the recipes of Fuling San, and some of these Fuling San recipes are included in Sun Simiao's book and are attributed to Jipo. So historically, you can think Jivaka had influence not just in Ayurveda in India, but also in Chinese medicine. But in Thailand, he goes by Waikuru. This is actually from Thailand temple. And in Thai tradition, they say The Thai medicine, he's the father of Thai medicine who created Thai traditional medicine that includes Thai massage and herbal medicine. And Thai massage is based on channels that are very similar to acupuncture channels and also the nadis of Indian medicine or Ayurveda. So he's considered as a father of Thai traditional medicine as well. So Jivaka or Jipo or Vaikuru are the same person who go all the way to 500 BC, and he's documented all the way up to Suishu, which is 600 CE. So around 1200 years, he has been a legend across 4 different cultures, documented as Bhashya Jayaraja, which means medicine king or king of medicine. In Sanskrit, Bhashya Jayaraja, Bhashya means medicine, and Bhashya Jayaraja means medicine king. Bhashya Jaya is medicine itself. So that's the one root or entangled root which I wanted to talk about today. And the second entangled root is a philosophical entangled root, and that's about Triguna. Now, in Indian tradition, Triguna, the Bhagavad Gita says Triguna Vishaya Veda, which means the subject of all the Vedas, which is the wisdom text of India, is Triguna, which means when we say the Indian knowledge, all of Indian knowledge comes from the text called Vedas. Like Ayurveda comes from a text which is a branch of Veda, and Ved is the 4 big texts which have no human origin. They are considered as revealed texts. And Bhagavad Gita says the subject of all of those revealed texts is Triguna or Triguna. What is Triguna?
So Triguna, the Bhagavad Gita talks about, says is the subject of all Vedas, originally come from a philosophy of India called Sankhya or Sankhya. Sankhya is a root philosophy of Ayurveda, and Sankhya says that the cosmos, which is represented here as a lady or a mother, in Sankhya it's called Prakriti, says the cosmos manifests everything through 3, and those 3 here are represented as 3 sons of that one mother, and they are called Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Sattva and Tamas have no power to move. Rajas has power to move. So Rajas's characteristics are active, moving, and throbbing. And these are called gunas, which means 3 aspects or qualities or characteristics or attributes of everything that is manifested, from smallest particle to largest phenomena, galaxies or black holes or human beings. In 3 gunas, Rajas is the only one that has power to move, but Rajas is neutral. Sattva is that gives it the quality of light, evolving, pure, inspiring, creative, and Tamas on the other side is dark, inert, heavy, regressing. So Tamas and Sattva give the qualities that are opposing to each other, but Rajas is neutral. Sattva and Tamas have no power to move. Rajas is the one that moves, and that motion makes the transformation of Tamas to Sattva and Sattva to Tamas. So they keep transforming into each other, consuming each other, support each other, but they can never become just one. In other words, there can never be only Sattva or only Tamas or only Rajas. They all 3 exist, and they keep supporting, transforming, and consuming and nourishing each other. Rajas being completely neutral. Rajas is the one that moves, and Sattva and Tamas are the one that gives the qualities of light or dark, in simple words. Triguna in our body in Ayurveda is shown as the 3 channels, as Sushmana being the central channel and the 2 channels of left and right, Ida and Pigla, which then they entangle or transform into various centers or we call it chakras in the body. And there are thousands of chakras, but there are 6 chakras on the main central channel, Sushmana being the attribute of Rajas, and left means Ida, which means Tamas, and the right means Pigla, and which means the solar. So it shows solar and lunar qualities of 2 channels that are in our body. So now you'll wonder, how are these gunas related to Chinese medicine from Ayurveda? In Chinese medicine, everything is about yin and yang. Yin and yang is supposed to have come from book of I Ching, which around 600 BC by a person called Fuxi, or legend called Fuxi. He kind of gave the philosophy of yin and yang. This is the modern symbol of yin and yang, but it's actually called Taiji Tu. And the traditional ancient Taiji Tu symbol is with the center and two revolving light and dark. This is the Song dynasty symbol of Taiji Tu, and it talks about supreme polarity that generates yang and which generates yin when it gets to its maximum, and they keep transforming into each other, yin and yang. But what we forget in the modern diagram is the center around which these are all both moving and transforming into each other. They create 4 seasons, 5 elements. In other words, they create all of manifestation, as we call as reality or phenomena, comes because of these yin and yang transforming into each other. In the yin and yang is supposed to have become also from a perspective of observing nature by putting a pole in the ground and watching the shadow of pole as it transforms across the whole year. And this is where the winter solstice is, and this is where the summer solstice is. And that's where there's a maximum and smallest shadow of the pole and the largest shadow of the pole, and the shadow keeps changing. And that's how yin and yang comes in the picture, and that's how the diagram of yin and yang comes. But traditionally, when we think about yin and yang, we only think about 2, yin and yang, and we forget the pole around which this transformation is happening. So in reality, yin and yang is actually described also as a characters as the sunny side and shadow side of the mountain. Shadow side is the cooler, darker, more moist, and passive. And sunny side is warmer, brighter, drier, and active. But we forget the mountain around which this transformation is happening. So if you think in terms of 3, there is a mountain or the pole around which these 2 shadow and light keep transforming into each other, supporting and consuming each other. In other words, what we're saying is what is yin is actually tamas and rajas of gunas, and what is yang is sattva and rajas of gunas, because rajas is neutral, which is like the mountain or the pole around which these 2 shadows keep transforming into each other, and tamas or sattvas are the 2 characteristics or the qualities or attributes which continue to transform into each other around that pole, which is the rajas, which is the motion. This is how, if you think in terms of yin and yang and trigunas match, this is the tamasic and pole being the rajas and sattva being the light side. There can never be only sattva and there can never be only tamas as long as the creation is there. All 3 are going to be there. The motion that transforms into each other, and the qualities of sattva and rajas, which is the yin and yang. And in medicine, of Chinese medicine, we say that you have to understand the yin and yang to be able to understand the medicine. And in also Ayurveda, we say you have to understand the gunas in order to understand Ayurvedic medicine. They both have same entangled philosophical root for both medicine. Now let's look in terms of, we talked about channels, that there are 3 channels that we call as sattva, rajas, and tamas, ida, pingala, and sushmana. How are those in Chinese medicine? So Fuxi, who is considered as a legend, that he observed the turtle that came out of Yellow River, and on that there was a symbolical representation of Bagua, which he transformed or translated as yin and yang. And that's how we know as a modern legend of Fuxi. But an ancient painting in Xinyang shows Fuxi and his consort, Nugua, both intertwined as snakes and showing as cosmos, because we see all the constellations, and then we show the pole, the invisible pole, on one side the lunar calendar, on the other side the solar calendar. So there is an invisible pole in the middle on which Fuxi and Nugua are transforming into each other like the 2 channels around one central channel. So what we are saying is, if you think in terms of yin and yang as 2 cosmic channels represented as 2 intertwined yin and yang along one central pole, that's how we show in the body in Ayurveda as 2 nadis intertwined along one central channel, which is sushmana. And we say in Chinese medicine, in body there is zongmai, which is the central channel, and there is a left and right channel of central channel. The Zongmai starts from the lower dantian, goes up to the upper dantian. Very similar to central channel starting from sacrum, going all the way to the crown, and around which are the two left and right channels, which is basically yin and yang channels in the body, central channel being the pole or the rajas around which this transformation in our body happens, or those transformation happens in the cosmos, with the two being fuxi and nugua, or yin and yang. I'm hoping that this presentation helped you to rethink how we think in terms of two medicine as not separate but intertwined and entangled, giving you the most fundamental basis of yin and yang and triguna as one root of philosophical, and I talked about Jibo or Jivaka as a legend that is across both medicines. And here is the list of sources that I actually picked up these information if you want to dig deeper on. And if you have any questions, here is my information. My website is pranajiacupuncture.com. My phone number is 760-593-7726. You can reach me by email or by Facebook. Hope you enjoyed my presentation. Thank you very much.